Okay, this is going to be a tutorial, I guess, for my pen and paper game. Um, it's called Ink Bombs. Uh, I'm waiting for my son. I'm in the car. So I had a moment and I thought I might just do this, and I'm hoping to do no editing, so that I can actually upload something because you know, everything is difficult to do. Um, So my goal was to make a game that you can play with only a pen and paper, um, and solo. Not tic tac toe obviously fits the bill, but uh, this would be a single player game. So what I came up with was, I basically was trying to do single player tic tac toe for a little bit there. It took some turns and I needed, you know, um, I was adapting and I was figuring out what might work. So there's also no dice, no cards, and that kind of means no randomness. There is variation, and I thought for a minute that I had discovered a way um, to make randomness with no dice, and no other randomizers like that. And I was proud of it, and it's close, but I think that that's impossible. So no, it is entirely deterministic, but um, it it might look a bit like Rogue, um, like a traditional roguelike. It might look like Four Against Darkness. Um, I I had a few other influences. Like I said, I was sort of going for tic tac toe, and I guess it's chess like. And Potentially there would be like a meta game with this as well because of there will be like a perfect way to do it sometimes. But anyway, let me just get into the play. The base game. So the base game, I think that this has to be a game where you tinker, which sort of made it feel like it wasn't finished. 1 second. But I think that if you're already looking for a deterministic game, pen and paper only, there might just have to be some tinkering. So it's a compromise, but here we are. So the base game, and yes, you'll have to learn the rules and you'll have to memorize them, and you will need graph paper, or dotted paper, not regular paper, which I sort of wanted initially, but I don't know how I would go about that. I could start from scratch. But anyway, the base game, you just go through. There's 6 different room types, and in the base game, you just go through them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Obviously, you can also just do whatever you want. You could roll a dice because there are 6 different rooms. You could, just roll a dice and take whatever number comes up. So you'll have to memorize what the room types are. Um, um, but also, these are levels. So I made these 3 cards. It's got, what, 3 times 4 is 12, so it's got 12 levels on it. If you want, I guess that would be like the expansion. You could do any of the levels that you want, or you could flip these all around without looking at them and shuffle them, but not just standard shuffle because there's only 3 and you need to have varying sides. But you can just go, okay, these are my levels, so I'll do these rooms and then these rooms and then these rooms. But anyway, so I'll tell you what the room types are. So it's on camera. Okay, so room 1, your character is represented by an X. The enemies, the monsters, are a dot in the center. Like if this was a room, then this would be a monster. But anyway, that's nothing. So, and then bombs are a circle. If you find a bomb and you walk over it, you gather that bomb. And then if you have an inventory full of bombs and you use one, then you cross it out when you use it. For movement, you're an X, but you don't need to draw all of your movements, walking in this direction. But drawing it sometimes is obviously going to be helpful because it's like a bookmark. You don't get lost on the page. But anyway, that's also nothing. So this is room 1. So if you're the X and you're in whatever this room is, and you are facing an open wall, and you discover a new room and it's going to be a 1, then it's 1. So you can see that it's open on all sides. There's no monsters or bombs on the inside. It's just one space, which is a nice strategic room, and you'll see why. 2, and each of them are pretty obviously, room 1 has one cell, one square, however you want to say it. This is normal size paper, by the way. I don't know what type of paper is best. I've got this other graph paper here. This is part of a game. I can unfold it a little. But anyway, yeah, this was a decent game. Go on, I guess, for a second. Ideally, I guess it would be an unlimited map, but you probably won't use it that way. And you could add other papers to the sides, or you could use an enormous sheet and keep it folded and refold it as you go so that you can keep moving in one direction. But you're probably not going to do it like that anyway. So, but initially my goal was to use this device, which is just a drawing tablet. So you just scratch on it and it makes a mark, and then you push a button and it erases. So my initial goal was to make a game that I could play on this, but you have to draw all the dots for one, which isn't ideal, obviously, and it is probably too small for this game. So anyway, so room 1, room 2, sorry if I'm all over the place. Room 3 is like this, and again, you would be here when you discover it, and you would be here when you discover it, in whatever room this is. Again, so if you're in a room like this isn't an actual room, that's impossible, but if you're here and you discover a room in this direction, if it was room 2, then it would be sideways. It depends on which direction you discover the room. So this would be sideways. It depends on where you discover it. So they would all just rotate, 360 degrees, or whatever the orientation. So that's discovering. That needs to be said. You do know the rooms in advance. I feel like that's an important part of the game. You could roll the dice each time, but I might roll over and over in order to know what rooms are coming next. I think that's an important strategic thing, is that you know what room is coming, at least a little bit in advance. So anyway, 1, 2, 3. You can see 3 has a monster in it. So when you face that, obviously, so your only weapon is bombs. So you could use a bomb or you could take a hit, basically, when you enter it. But you can also, if you're in a room, I keep drawing these fake rooms. So if you're in a room like this, and you discover a 3 on this side, but you don't want to go that way, because, I don't know, you can't take the hit, or you don't want to, or you don't want to waste a bomb or whatever, and you know that a better room is coming over here. Let's say that you know that the room after 3, because you've got the whole list of rooms. So you discover a 3, but you don't want to go into a 3, then you can discover it, which means that it's gone, and then instead of discovering a 1 after you go through there, you can just turn and discover a 1 somewhere else. So you used the room or whatever, you discovered it, but you just moved on. Room 3, room 1. And then you'll go into this one instead if you wanted to. The other option is always that you can use a bomb and get through a wall. And so if you wanted to skip room 3 and skip room 1, you would skip, and then you know that a 2 is coming next. You can go right through the wall. You used your bomb, you cross that out. Okay, back to room types. This is the most important thing, so I should stop being distracted. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, there's an enemy in there. I think I explained 3 just fine. I could probably go a lot faster. So, room 4 is again 4 squares, and it has bombs in it for you to discover and pick up. So you'll notice that, okay, well, we haven't even talked about how the monsters move or anything, so I'm just going to show you all the rooms first. That was 4, 5, this is you, 5 is 1 giant wall here, and then open squares here. So it's entirely open. If you were in a room that already had walls like that, then those walls would stay. But you discover this room, this is open, you get it. So that's 5, 6, oh, and there's no monsters in here. No monsters, 1 monster, 2 bombs. I'm not showing you what I'm pointing at. No monsters, 1 monster, 2 bombs. No monsters. And 6 is again 6 squares. And so an entrance here, an exit here, and each square. So there are 6 monsters inside of that room, which it's not a great room to come across, but it's not a death sentence. There's we'll get into it. So those are the rooms. You might want to screenshot this or something. I have no idea. You could look at rules every time. Hard to say best strategy for learning, because you will want to memorize it, especially if you're just carrying around a piece of graph paper and you want to play it at any time. I feel like that's the best use for this game, is to, you're somewhere without a game and you just want to, honk around. Anyway, so that's that. Monsters. So you start, the starting room looks like this. You start in the center, and obviously you can discover rooms on all sides or through walls or whatever you want to do. You'll start with 3 bombs, 3 health, and 1 poise. This is basically this is a small sheet, of course, but this is what a starting area looks like. So as you discover more bombs, you'll add them here. Oop, I'm looking at myself through the camera, so it's all weird. You'll add them here. As you lose bombs, you just cross them out wherever. Poise is I stole it from Moonring. It's like you take a hit, but you have some cushion. So if there was an enemy here and you walked into it to get past, then you would lose that poise, but you wouldn't lose a health. And then after 2 safe moves, it grows back. So I might not even cross that out because I'll be able to keep track of it just fine. You only have 1 poise, so you're not going to grow back several. But I do use poise to sort of keep track of if you have, if the closest enemy is this far away, it's not going to come up too often. I mean, it sort of will, but I might just pretend that I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 5 more poise. So it's a good way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Talking and writing. So it's a good way to keep track of how far away they are. Sorry, this could have been a more succinct video. But anyway, point being, you back yourself into a corner. If you turn around and there's a monster right behind you, then you'll have to take a hit. But here, if you were backed into a corner and you wanted to turn back around, you know that there's still room, because they're chasing you the whole time, but they can't get to you until... So if you go back and back and back, then you would probably lose 3 poise because they're chasing you during all of your steps. It does not take a step, or it doesn't take a turn for you to use a bomb. You could even use a bomb in each direction if you wanted, or 2 bombs in each direction sometimes. And that wouldn't take a turn. So even if there was another monster right here, if they were all following you, and you wanted to just use some bombs to clear up an area for you to go, they don't attack you for each time that you use a bomb, because that's not an actual turn. Okay. The way that monsters work. You're in your starting room. You are on a spawn point. You're not currently getting hurt, but if you move here, then there's a monster in that space, right behind you. You can't totally draw all the monsters or all of yourself either as you move, like I said before. So you know that there's a monster behind you. If I move here, or let's pretend I'm going into a room so it's easier to follow. Let's say we got 3 2s in a row. So if I know I'm moving here, then I might draw a new self, I might not. But let's say I get to here, so I take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 steps, and I know that there are monsters leading all the way to me. They're right next to me, but they can't attack. They're following perfectly. I think that this is an enemy system that's been used in a couple of 1 kilobyte roguelikes, which is interesting. It was an accident to use that system. I didn't borrow from it exactly, but it's, it's a, how do I describe it? It's a, what's it even called? A follow path? Or it's pathfinding that takes care of itself. So if you're playing another game, for some reason the only game I can think of right now is One Card Dungeon. If you were playing One Card Dungeon and there was a monster following you, you'd have to figure out exactly what path they would take to get there, because there is distance from you. Here you know that they're just going to go in a straight line. They can't move diagonally, you can't move diagonally. And if there's no distance between you at all, they're just going to take the exact same steps you take. If you have to backtrack, go in that direction. That was supposed to be an arrow. So if you have to go towards and land on the same space as a monster, then you take a hit. If there's a monster here, say there's a bunch of monsters here, and you walk intentionally right adjacent to an existing monster, then you take a hit, because they're moving towards you, you're moving towards them essentially, and during that step, they get there at the same time as you, so you take a hit. I hope that explained that pretty well. So when you use a bomb, like I said, you can go through a wall. If you use a bomb directly at a wall, then it just blows up that wall, that one square, one panel area. If I use a bomb against enemies, let's say again that we have a bunch of 2s in a row, usually doesn't come up like this. If I'm here, there's a bunch of enemies behind me, and I get to a dead end, let's say, and I want to turn around. I don't know why I would just walk all the way down there just to turn around, but what I can do is face in this direction and use a bomb. So my bomb's up in the corner, my inventory, and I would cross it out. But what's happening is that I use the bomb and you get 10 spaces cleared. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So whatever. You probably can't end up in this scenario at all. But the bomb explosion, there is bounce back a little bit. So if you were in a dead end like this, whatever the case, you're getting rid of these enemies. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then it also bounces back at you because there's only 6 spaces for it to go in front of you, so there's still 4 to go in the other direction. It's assumed that it takes up the space that you're on, but it doesn't hurt you. So 6, and then 7 is the space that you're on. 8 would be behind you. It can't go through walls just from bounce back. If you're going through the wall, you have to be facing directly at the wall. So that's the enemy system. These are the rooms. This is hopefully a decent description of how the enemy system works. And poise. Health, you can't gain back. So if, there was this scenario where you go through it and you need to you need to have 2 healthy turns or whatever you call it, in order to grow back your poise. So you only have one poise for a second, you go in this direction and you lose your poise. But then you save for one turn, and then you go right into another enemy. So you step right into the space with another enemy. Then that would be another hit, and you lose 1 health. Which is strategic. You might run out of bombs. You might, you might just want to do that. So anyway, what we end up with is big mess. Like this. These are the levels. Health and poise, bombs. So you end up with this map generation, basically. You could just play this very casually and go around. I think that kind of works. But it will be essentially entirely balanced. As you can see here, this was a pretty chill game. I didn't lose any health. And I ended with 2 bombs, which is basically also what you start with, 3. So you could, I do sometimes end up with many bombs at once. You can't really see that here because I could have just gotten basically 1 bomb at a time. It's hard to tell. Bombs also regrow. So you can leave your starting area and you're making this map, choosing rooms and avoiding rooms and stuff. I don't know which way I was going in this game. It's been too long. But let's say that you make a bunch of rooms in this direction, and then you loop back around with rooms, and you come back to a room that you've already been in. For one thing, that's a point. You keep track of loops. So yes, that's a point to go back into an old room. But there are still monsters there. It's not just one monster following you. I hope I made that clear. It's they're following you and also spawning the entire time. You go back into an old room. As soon as you step into that other room, that's a loop, because it's a loop. You can't just discover one room, step into it, and then turn it right around. That's not a loop, obviously. However, there are rooms like 5s obviously have open walls, so if you were to make rooms and come back around to that, then it would be easier to get back in. There would still be monsters in there, maybe. If you went this way, then there would only be monsters on this side. They wouldn't fill the room suddenly. But you come back around to this room and you can enter it without using a bomb. So that might be a good strategic area to make a loop. As soon as you step into that room, these monsters see you and start moving there as well, because you've, hypothetically escaped through here, and that's where they followed you. But anyway, yeah, so you step back in and they can see you again. So if you had 50 poise before, when you were making this other loop, hypothetical loop, then when you come back in here and you're only 2 spaces away, then you only have 2. Hope I'm not being too confusing. I think a playthrough might be nice. I am running out of time though. Maybe I'll do a playthrough a different time. But we can start one. So if we're doing 1 through 6, so I'll write the levels on top. And didn't leave myself much space. Got squares. That's a terrible square, obviously. Works fine. So I know what levels are coming. So it is entirely deterministic. So if you're only playing with 1 through 6, there is a best way to do it. And I don't even know what that way is necessarily, but it is pretty chess-like. There's a lot of memorization in chess. I don't want to say that I've invented like the new chess or anything, or a solo chess type of thing, but it is more puzzly than yeah. So this is the only spawn point. When you enter, or when you discover a room number 3, there's an enemy in there, but it's not a spawn point. If you have distance between you and the monsters this way, and then you enter this room and you take a hit, then that monster's dead. And then you move in this direction. They're not following you from this point. That monster's dead. Yeah, my son's getting out of school, so I'll have to... Alright, thanks for watching. Let me know if you have questions. I'll try to do a playthrough very soon as well. As I said, I stumbled through this whole thing. I don't know if it is very clear. I don't know if it's even a game in some ways. It's very tinkery. Let me know your thoughts. Maybe there's something perfect that'll fix it. I would be curious about that, of course. I'm not necessarily looking for someone to fix it, but also you can do whatever you want with this. I consider it open source. I can't sell it because there's no components. It's not even print and play. It's just pen and paper. Is there anything else I wanted to say? Probably not. Appreciate it. Bye.